into the next life with Drew and me.
We did it.
Okay, welcome to the Drew and Me podcast, where we talk about music, movies, and do sketches, and we talk about whatever else we want to talk about. And today we are joined by sketch writer and Philly performer Matt Schmid.
Hey everybody, what's up? What's going on, Drew? Thanks for having me on. This is so cool.
Absolutely, dude. We're gonna get right into a sketch, but first, Matt, do you have any shows coming up or anything you'd like to promote?
Yeah, I have in September in the Philly Fringe Festival. I'm doing
Cool, man.
2 weekends of shows with Incredible Dreams, which is like me and Jackie Baker and Rose Wardo and Andrew Jeffrey Wright. And it's like a fourth show we've done together. We're doing it all on Zoom. Like we did the same thing last year, but it's it's a show where we make a bunch of short films, like these like weird little like action movies and horror movies and stuff like that. We do like a little movie club. It's really fun. So we just actually started filming stuff last night. So yeah, so we're underway. But that's like the 17th and 18th of September and the 1st and 2nd of October are the dates, but I don't have those memorized, so maybe I'm wrong. But
okay, do you have a poster or a link that you can attach in the chat?
I don't have a poster, but I'll send you the Fringe Festival because you get everything through the Fringe Festival's website for tickets and everything. So I'll send you that.
Cool. That's awesome. That's really cool that you guys are doing that. Matt and I know each other from $5 Comedy Week, which was a Cape Anford and Aaron Nevins curated comedy programs that would span over a week, and just like there was a lot of like variety, like different sketches, variety shows, comedy shows, stand-up, interactive, educational programming. I remember Christian Alsis did painting with a load on, and I remember that one being pretty.
Yeah, he did
yeah, I remember that one being good.
He did a Christmas one too, right? Didn't he do 2 of them?
I
remember
he
definitely did a Christmas one because this guy Jimmy was like a Santa Claus, and I remember hearing about, like, I had something to do that day, but I remember hearing that Christian was doing that, and that but I was in Center City and I saw Jimmy just drunk off his ass, just very drunk, and he was on a street corner singing dressed as Santa Claus with like some guy with a guitar. And so I apparently went really well. The painting with a load on, he definitely got his load on. So,
yeah, and from what I heard, like it kind of like was a good opportunity for people to learn to paint too, or if they hadn't painted in a while, they got to rediscover that. And
that seemed really
I remember seeing the pictures of like some of the paintings, and they came out really well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that was really cool. So Philly Fringe Festival. Check out Matt, Jackie, Rose, and Drew's show.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all online, so you don't even have to leave your house. It's nice. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we are going to do a sketch called My Moon, and it's kind of in the theme of like SpongeBob. It's like SpongeBob universe. I'm gonna play Patrick and Squidward, and Matt is going to play SpongeBob and Sandy.
I'm gonna play SpongeBob and attempt Sandy. we were practicing before, and my impressions merged at some point where it's just one. It's a sand Bob, but.
Okay. And here we go. My moon.
My sun and my stars.
My moon.
My sun and my stars. What's all this commotion about a moon and sun and stars?
My moon.
Patrick, I understand about your moon, but and that you're sad, okay?
Can you buy me a replacement moon?
No, I'm sorry your moon is in orbit right now. So where do we go from here? Well, I'm an astronaut, and do we want to take a trip to the moon?
No, I just want my moon. That's not just a moon. It's just a moon. Get over it. But it's my moon.
Patrick, let's move away from that. Let's focus on my sun and my stars.
Okay, but next time, let's make it lunar. Okay, and scene. Yeah. And scene. So, yeah, for everyone listening and watching, that's just like a brief sketch. For like a sketch you'd see on like TV, like Saturday Night Live, it might be like 4 or 5 minutes. That's like roughly a minute. So on TV, like the sketches you see will probably be significantly longer, and that's just kind of a short kind of version. But for all the aspiring sketch writers out there, honestly, start small. Like have a big idea, but start small and kind of build your way up, and then just try for like a few pages at a time. And if you can write like a page a day, that's awesome. And then it just depends on how long you want the sketch to be. If you want to write a sketch for SNL, probably 4 or 5 pages, maybe a few more, because they might cut some pages for time. So
yeah, SNL always seems like they go way too long. Like I feel like whenever I watch SNL, it's always like the sketches are like 8 minutes long, and it's like this should have been a little shorter. But I mean, they have to fill like between commercial breaks and stuff like that, so they have a whole different necessity for time and stuff like that. But I think like I don't know. I mean, like I totally agree with you. But I think that like a good nice short sketch is like it's always like a great thing to be to watch.
yeah.
I think you should leave the show on Netflix.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's really good, but a lot of the sketches are just like nice and short, like little nuggets. They're great. Yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That'd be also a good one to check out for learning how to do sketch. At the same time, it depends how you learn and grasp and process information too.
Yeah.
So
sure. Yeah.
Yep. There's a lot of things kind of going with that. Okay, so the sketch was the first portion. Second portion of today's show, we are going to talk about the movie Cool Runnings, which is available on Disney Plus. So if you guys want to stream it at home, you can watch it on Disney Plus. Came out, I think, in 93, 94. Matt, what did you find most affecting about the movie or most striking to you?
Well, I have like a weird history with this movie. When I was little, when this movie came out, when I was little, and I was like obsessed with this movie. I love this movie. I saw it like 3 times in the theater. There was like I grew up in New Jersey, and there was like a little like I don't know, like a second run movie theater where they would have movies for like super cheap that were like, you know, a little bit like already out of most theaters. And so I went, like, had my birthday party to, you know, like one year my birthday party was ever all my friends went to see Cool Runnings together. So I like love this movie. And I hadn't seen it in several years, and I saw it was on Disney Plus actually earlier this year, maybe in like I don't know, March or April. And I watched it. And I was just like, I just love this movie. It's so good. It's so like sweet. It's such like a feel good movie. And yeah, and then you know, watched it again to chat with you about it. But yeah, I mean, like I don't know. Yeah, I think I mean, actually going back to what you were talking about with like writing too, it's like I've been trying to kind of teach myself how to write like longer like screenplays and stuff like that. And I think that like this movie and I also watched The Rocketeer, but like these movies that are like you know, maybe a little bit aimed for like younger audiences, like it seems like a lot of times like the scripts are really cleanly structured. And so like, this movie has such a like a nice like, here's the first act, here's the second act, and here's the third act, and everything just kind of like fits very nicely. Everyone, all the 4 main characters have like nice little bits of growth and change, and they all have like a very clear like, you know, like this guy, you know, wants to compete in the Olympics. This guy wants to like get out of the shadow of his father. You know, like this guy's just angry for some reason all the time. Like they all have like their little thing, and they all kind of grow and change and connect. And you know, I don't know. I just it's such a nice movie. I don't know. I really like it. I don't know. What did you think? Had you seen it before? Do you have a relationship?
Yeah. I used to watch it a lot growing up, and when it was on like TV and stuff, you know. It was kind of just a fun movie to have on, like like and John Turtletab's a really good director, very gifted. I really liked Three Ninjas. National Treasure is also really good, and he also did While You Were Sleeping too, which I've only seen once, but if I saw it again, I'd probably understand it more. So no, but really good director. I love John Candy in Cool Runnings. They gave his character kind of depth and kind of a real arc, and you know, he has some really great speeches for the guys on the team. So kind of good speeches, and
yeah, there's 2 scenes in this movie that like had like speeches that were like really like rewatching it, even like for the 100th time I've seen this movie, but like really affected me was like the well, there's 2 scenes, with the John Candy one where he's talking to he's in the hotel room, and he says something about like about the thing about like having a gold medal is that like actually I have it right here. I'll just read it. A gold medal is a wonderful thing, but if you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it. So that was like a really a thoughtful little speech. Yeah, that scene, I found that scene really affecting. And like, and there's another scene where the 4 guys are in the hotel room, and Yul Brynner has the picture of Buckingham Palace. That's where he like wants to move, and he gets made fun of. But then the little guy is like, you know, is like, someday you'll get your palace, Yul Brynner. Like, I was like, that's very sweet. I really, Good stuff. I don't totally understand like why. I guess just because it's a kids movie, why all the characters have like really weird names, like Yul Brenner and Sanka Coffee, and that would seem like a weird choice. But I guess it's a kids movie from the '90s. There's a lot of stuff you have to excuse, I guess.
Yeah. um. Yeah. No, I would have loved to see a spin-off with Yul Brenner because I think there's a lot of depth to that character that's not really explored. You don't get his origin that much. You don't know why he hates the island because he's like, get off this stinking island. And like he hates the island. Like he talks about that like multiple times and he just wants to leave.
Yeah.
And they don't really get into why Buckingham Palace, maybe a castle, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe he'd be better if he lived with Junior's dad and worked for Webster and Cohen because Junior's dad lives in a huge house in Kingston. So
I think he has like a similar arc to the main character where it's like they kind of just like they feel like they need to like be better than their position. They need to like like better than where they came from or something like that. And like I think that the kind of the thing they learn is like no, like they're Jamaican. They should be proud to be Jamaican. Like, and instead of like trying to be more like the Swiss or the Germans or like it's like we're gonna do this and we're gonna do it like our way and we're gonna do it. That's like that kind of thing always like the like themes like that in stories always like really really touch me. Just like doing not not compromising your identity to get something done, like to just be like the best version of you and the best version of your identity. Like I think that's I've always find those things really touching.
Boy.
Did you have a favorite scene?
Yeah. What would your favorite scene be?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. It might be one of those two speeches. I mean, like, I guess it maybe the hotel room speech. I thought that was a really touching scene. I'm trying to think of like what the funniest scene would be for me. Oh God. Well, the push cart thing in the beginning is pretty good. And I think there's like the scene where the first time they go down the track in Calgary, where like Sanka has to pee and he like pops the helmet on him and they push him down and they're going through. It's just Sanka screaming the entire. It's just like this like long shot of like the bobsled going down and just Sanka's just screaming the entire time, and then it goes like into the tunnel and the camera just keeps moving and then the thing just doesn't go out and you just hear like all the like the sled breaking apart or whatever. That's pretty funny. How about you? What's your favorite?
Probably at the beginning when Darius and Sanka are trying to convince John Candy to coach the team, and like they're trying in a few different ways. Like they go into the bathroom when he's using the bathroom. They just kind of approach him. They approach him when he's like leaving the bathroom. Yeah. And John Candy's like, you need to go away. And it's really good because like John Candy really goes for it in that scene, and he's such a good improviser, and improv pedigree, like Second City, everything. Like you can see the improv skills, and you can see like the authenticity in it, and that these guys are really pissing him off. And part of it, from an improviser perspective, they're stealing his scenes. So they're not quite mugging for the camera. They're doing that a little bit, but they're stealing his scenes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the subtext, but you don't get that unless you're like a performer or director, and unless you see that. But there's the undercurrents there, and he's like, where did these guys even come from? I've been doing Second City for the past like 15 years, which also kind of means maybe he went a little bit too hard. He should probably ease up a little bit.
Yeah, that's interesting too. I didn't even think about that. Like that John Candy is like, has this huge, this great comedy pedigree, but he's really like the straight man in this movie. He's not like a comedic character really in this movie at all, for the most part. But yeah, I wonder what he would be doing, right? You know, what kind of stuff he would be, if he would have kind of leaned into more dramatic stuff, like, you know, like someone like Bill Murray or something like that, or you know, if he would have stayed kept on the comedy path. But yeah.
Maybe like Seth MacFarlane, maybe make a show, maybe produce movies.
Yeah.
Like, I think he could have been a movie producer, but he also kind of said yes to every project too. And then he would take it hard when projects wouldn't go well. He would overeat and stuff like that. And the overeating was kind of what was a contributing factor to his very early death. He died very young. He died, I think, early 40s or late 40s. He did die in his 40s, so he died relatively young. Could have made a lot more movies. You have a very good point about the dramatic roles. You could argue that in Planes and Trains and Automobiles, he kind of has a more dramatic role. That was probably his most dramatic role. Like, other than that, he's just kind of having fun, you know.
Yeah, like,
even though
comedies, like that there's like this little like this want to kind of do something a little bit more dramatic or something. Yeah,
and he is kind of the tragic clown. He is kind of the to make a Shakespeare reference, he's kind of the Falstaff of kind of a lot of his movies. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We're not really going to have enough time to talk about music, unfortunately, because we are running really low on time. So what hit you the most about The Rocketeer? Like, what left the biggest impression on you?
You know, The Rocketeer, this is another one like I really liked a lot when I was little. I think just rewatching it, like seeing all of the character actors in it, like this time just seeing like just how many people were in this movie is kind of crazy. Like Paul Sorvino, Terry O'Quinn, Clint Howard. There was just so many like character actors.
Yeah,
in the movie. It was crazy. Like every person is somebody. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think like I have like a, you know, like this movie kind of feels like a weird, like a like, you know, it kind of came out, I guess, in that era of 90s comic book movies like The Shadow and The Phantom and Dick Tracy, where they're kind of like going back to like 40, you know, even though this is a comic book from the 80s, they're kind of doing like these 1940s, you know, like those types of things. And yeah, so it kind of has that pedigree, but it also has like kind of like a feeling like Indiana Jones. Like it's just sort of like a you know, like a World War II kind of like adventure film. Like it's very much like getting out of tight spaces, that kind of like, you know, like the main guy could have easily been like a Harrison Ford type, you know, like, you know, he's always like getting beaten up and like, you know, like hitting his head on stuff. And, you know, I love those kinds of, I love like those kinds of heroes that are like kind of like out of their element the entire, you know, like time. And so I thought that side of it was really funny. Like there's the whole scene where he's like at the restaurant trying to get his girlfriend away from the villain at the table, and he dresses up like the waiter and the thing's too small and he like doesn't know what he's doing and he's like getting lost. He's, you know, like, and just like everything is going wrong for this guy. He's like hiding in the bushes and you know, like I don't know. I really like love those types of heroes. Like, and also he's kind of cocky to boot, you know, like but yeah, I don't know. There's just something about like the whole like aesthetic of it. I love like the Bulldog Diner. I was in LA, or when I was in LA a couple years ago. There's a bar that actually bought that. I guess that was an actual functioning restaurant at one point, but bought that structure and has that bulldog in the backyard of their bar. And so we went and had a drink in front of the bulldog. But Yeah, no, I mean, it's like I don't know. I mean, I think the Rocketeer is like a weird, like a little, it's a little forgotten, a little bit lost to time, and I think it's a really good like adventure movie. But yeah, I don't know. What did you think? I know you had some issues with problematic.
And it's actually interesting because like I found the most compelling part to be the villain. Like I found Timothy Dalton to be like incredibly compelling and kind of the duality. Like he's kind of this actor, but he's also this spy, and he does it really well. He plays both sides of the character like extremely well. So I give Timothy Dalton a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
If you've seen the movie Paddington 2, it reminds me of Hugh Jackman in that. Which
that's a good point.
You know, for everyone listening, watching, check out Paddington 2. Paddington 2 is an excellent film. So definitely check it out. But no, and Hugh Jackman was my favorite part of that film. So uh oh so like kind of that with Timothy Dalton in this. Yeah, and like he has some really good lines, like yeah, when like Bill Campbell's the waiter and he's like, how long have you been working here? And yeah, like
I love
it's
that plan with like putting the note in the soup. It's like that is like the world's worst plan. That's horrible. Can you imagine that, like your date gets up and you look across the table and there's just like a clear as day, just a note floating in like some tomato soup. What a bad plan.
Oh man.
I guess it worked, but
Yeah. 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 Yeah, so kind of similar films I'd recommend with this would be The Artist. I'd take a look at The Artist. Uh, for kind of another period movie that has similar type of acting. Yeah, I'd check out The Artist. And Paddington 2 has the similar sense of humor. So I'd say Artist, Paddington 2. Do you have any films that you would recommend watching with this one?
The only thing that I for some reason I haven't watched it in a while, but the thing that the scene in the restaurant where there's like that big clamshell, they're singing out of the clamshell or whatever. That whole scene kind of reminded me, something about the setup of that scene reminded me of like the beginning of Temple of Doom, where like there's that fight in that restaurant and there's like the big I guess it's like a gong rolling and Indiana Jones is like hiding behind the gong. You know what I mean? For some reason that whole like the setup of that sequence, it was a similar vibe to it. I haven't seen the Temple of Doom in a while to really compare it, but there's something that. But I don't know. I think like the Rocketeer to me has like that kind of lineage of like those sort of like just like a good like light adventure movie, you know, like like Star Wars or Indiana Jones or something like that. Yeah.
I remember watching as a kid. It has some heavy stuff in it, but kids won't necessarily pick up on some of the heavy themes. Like maybe don't show them some scenes from the movie, but aside from that, it's not bad. It's kind of a fun romp. It's kind of, good 90s action. So
yeah. Cool.
All right. Matt, thank you very much for being on the show.
No
this has been Drew and Me with Matt Schmid.
Cool.
Thank you guys.